You've been praying for the same thing for months, maybe years. The silence feels deafening. You wonder if anyone is listening at all. But what if I told you that according to Ibn Arabi, the greatest mystic of Islam, that silence is not emptiness. It's the sound of infinite compassion. There's something uniquely human about the way we experience unanswered prayers. It cuts deeper than ordinary disappointment. When we pour our hearts out to the divine and receive what feels like nothing, something inside us breaks a little. We begin to question not just whether our prayers will be answered, but whether anyone is listening at all. The modern world tells us that silence means absence, that if God were real, if God truly cared, the response would be immediate, obvious, exactly what we asked for. But what if this understanding is not just wrong, but the very thing that keeps us from experiencing the profound mystery that prayer actually is? In 13th century Andalusia, a mystic named Ibn Arabi received what he called divine inspiration. Through years of deep contemplation and mystical experience, he came to understand something about prayer that would revolutionize Islamic thought forever. And at the heart of his teaching was this stunning insight. The prayers we think go unanswered are often the ones answered with the greatest wisdom. Ibn Arabi taught that when we pray, we're not actually communicating with something separate from ourselves. We're participating in a conversation that's already happening within the very fabric of existence. The divine, he said, doesn't receive our prayers from some distant throne. The divine is the space in which prayer occurs, the breath that forms the words, and the consciousness that experiences both the asking and the responding. Think about it this way. When you pray for something, who is doing the praying? You might say, I am, but Ibn Arabi would gently challenge this. He would ask, what is this I that prays? Is it your body, your thoughts, your emotions, or is it something deeper? In his mystical experience, Ibn Arabi discovered that what we call self is actually a temporary constellation of divine attributes, appearing for a moment in the infinite ocean of being. When this false self prays for its own desires, it's like a wave asking the ocean to become something other than what it already is. But here's where it gets beautiful. The ocean doesn't reject the wave. It simply continues being the ocean, and in doing so teaches the wave its true nature. When your prayer appears to go unanswered, something profound is actually happening. The divine is refusing to reinforce the illusion that you are separate, that you are lacking, that happiness lies in acquiring something outside yourself. Ibn Arabi called this divine mercy in its highest form, because what you think you want is often exactly what would keep you trapped in the prison of false selfhood. The job you pray for might make you more attached to worldly status. The relationship you desire might prevent you from discovering the infinite love that you already are. The healing you seek might keep you from understanding that your true essence was never actually wounded. This doesn't mean your prayers don't matter. It means they matter in ways you never imagined. According to Ibn Arabi, every prayer contains within it a deeper prayer. When you ask for specific things, what you're really asking for is the end of the sense of separation between yourself and the source of all satisfaction. You're asking to remember who you really are. The mystics understood that genuine prayer is not about changing God's mind. It's about aligning our will with the divine will that is already expressing itself perfectly through every moment of existence. When you pray for money, you're really praying for the security that you imagine money will bring. But the divine offers you something infinitely more reliable, the recognition that your true nature is already whole, already secure, already abundant beyond measure. When you pray for love, you're really praying to know yourself as love itself. But receiving a specific relationship might actually prevent this deeper recognition by focusing your attention on external sources of fulfillment. Ibn Arabi had a beautiful way of explaining this. He said that from the perspective of unity, Every prayer is already answered before it's even made. In the realm of divine knowledge, there is no time, no before and after. Your prayer and its perfect response exist simultaneously in the eternal now. What appears as delay or denial is actually the divine intelligence working to prepare you to receive not what you asked for, but what your deepest being actually yearns for. The direct experience of unity with the source of all existence. Think of it like this. Imagine a child asking for matches to play with. The loving parent doesn't give them matches not because the parent doesn't love the child, but because the parent loves the child too much to give them something that would cause harm. But unlike human parents, divine love has infinite wisdom. It can see not just what might hurt you in the moment, but what might prevent your spiritual awakening for lifetimes to come. Here's perhaps the most profound insight Ibn Arabi offered. Prayer doesn't change reality. It changes the one who prays. With each sincere prayer, something in you that believes it is separate, lacking, or in need begins to dissolve. The very act of turning your attention toward the divine creates a crack in the shell of ego through which divine light can enter. When you pray continuously for something and it doesn't come, you're being invited into a deeper relationship with the divine. You're being asked, can you love God not for what God gives you, but simply because God is the very essence of love itself? This is what the Sufis call fana, the gradual dissolving of the separate self into the ocean of divine consciousness. Your unanswered prayers are actually answered prayers in disguise, gradually freeing you from the tyranny of thinking that your happiness depends on external circumstances. So what does this mean for how you pray? Ibn Arabi would suggest that instead of praying for things, you pray to be aligned with divine will. Instead of asking for changes in the external world, you ask for changes in your understanding. Instead of seeking to be given what you want, you seek to want what you're given. This doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up your agency. It means recognizing that your deepest agency lies not in controlling outcomes, but in choosing how you relate to whatever arises. When you pray from this understanding, every moment becomes an answer to your prayer. The difficult colleague who triggers your anger becomes a teacher of patience. The financial struggle becomes an invitation to find security in something deeper than money. The loneliness becomes a doorway to discovering the infinite companionship of divine presence. Ibn Arabi taught that in the highest stages of prayer, words eventually fall away entirely. What remains is a wordless communion, a resting in the source from which all prayers arise and to which they all return. In this silence, you discover that the divine has been answering your prayers all along, not by giving you what your ego wanted, but by gradually revealing that you are the answer you've been seeking. The silence you once experienced as emptiness reveals itself as fullness beyond description. The absence you once felt as rejection becomes the presence that was never actually absent. And the prayers you thought went unanswered become the very means by which you awaken to your true nature as an expression of the infinite divine. The next time you find yourself frustrated by an unanswered prayer, remember Ibn Arabi's wisdom. The silence isn't emptiness, it's pregnant with infinite possibility. The delay isn't rejection, it's divine timing, working to prepare you for something greater than you could have imagined. Your prayers are always heard, your prayers are always answered. But sometimes, the most loving answer is the invitation to discover that what you were truly seeking was never outside you at all. In that discovery, every prayer becomes not a request, but a celebration. Not a plea for change, but a recognition of the perfection that was always already here, waiting to be seen through the eyes of the heart. Prayer is not asking for what you think you want. Prayer is asking to be awakened to what you already are. Ibn Arabi.